Would you like to know how to meet, greet, and connect with a woman over 50? This is Robert Manni, host of Guys TV, and this week my special guest is host of Second Act TV and relationship and dating expert Silke Schwarzkopf. It all starts right here, right now on Guys TV. You can also catch me on KCAA Radio here in Southern California, Guys Radio, my worldwide podcast, and we're on UK Health Radio all weekend long. Guys TV, Guys Radio, thanks for your support. Okay, Guys Radio, it is the interview portion of our show, and I'm delighted to bring back one of our favorite guests on Guys Radio, my friend and colleague, the host and producer and creator of that lightning rod YouTube show, Second Act TV, all about dating, relationships, and all other things for people over 50. Welcome back to Guys Radio, Silke Schwarzkopf. How are you, Silke?
I'm wonderful. Thank you, Robert, for that intro. Love it.
Fantastic. Well,
and I have your book sitting right here. See?
Even better. Love it.
Yeah.
Well, Silke's been wonderful supporting my work, inviting me back repeatedly to be I'm a regular on the show on Second Act TV, and we love having Silke on our show. And whenever Silke graces us with her presence, the numbers go up. So we've got a great topic for you today. Today we're going to talk about, and this is for both the women and the guys, but it's really about, I want to dig into, based on Silke, your expertise and all of the female dating coaches and experts you've spoken to over the last couple of years, and also your own personal journey and your own personal experience about what men really need to know about creating a successful relationship with a woman over 50. So this is for guys to pay attention, and this is for women to kind of get the word out there and really be very clear, because things change. Some things don't change, but also things do change also. And when you get to 50 years old, it's a different experience for a guy, I think, than for a woman. We're all aging, of course, but the considerations, the way women look at themselves, the way women look at relationships, the way men look at themselves and their relationships could be very different, even though we're all human and there's a lot of similarities. But I think it's going to be a great discussion. So let's get into it, Silke. Let's start off with just a big issue for, of course, if you've been 50 and above, you've been around for a while, you've been in and out relationships, and money has always been an issue. Everybody manages money a different way. What are your experts and what's been your experience in terms of what do men need to know about women's perspective on money? Guys, a lot of times they define themselves by their money. I don't think women do that. But they like if the guy has money, and if he doesn't have money, that's never a good thing for anybody. But overall, I think sometimes the wires get crossed in terms of the perspective on money and how we manage it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The wires get crossed a lot, and really the short answer to that, it just depends on where the woman is in life. There's horror stories about men leaving, leaving them for a younger woman, literally when they supported, they're a man the whole life, and they raised the kids, and now boom, he's out. Those stories are true. I don't play into those, or I should say support it. That's we really want what I want to make myself better, or I'm leaving for to better my life. That's good for both of us, to where those sorts of scenarios don't play out. I just want to acknowledge that there are situations where it's important for a woman, if she was left stranded, to find a way to either support, or and if there's a man, if there's a great relationship that could be built, if they're trustworthy, then yeah. However, having said that, money at this point, if well, like somebody like myself, I'm by no means wealthy, but I pay my bills, I do what I want, etc. I could care less how much money the man has, as long as he can take care of himself, and as long as we can live a lifestyle that we both want, or that I want, to where money doesn't become an issue on decisions that we make, or what we can do or not do, because that's when the whole male female dynamic gets into play into a relationship that could cause issues. Does that kind of answer the question?
Yeah, absolutely. And it seems like
Okay.
from what you're saying is that you have each relationship is different, and you have to find kind of a comfort zone with your
Mhm.
partner in terms of what the money means, what's enough money.
Right,
So in other
right.
words, if your expectations of the woman are, I've been used to, I had a rich husband, maybe he left me, whatever, and I'm used to, rolling. I'm used to the high life, and a new guy, he doesn't have the money. That could be problematic because maybe his expectation, he doesn't travel as much, etc. You have to find
Yeah.
something that there's some synchronicity, that it works, a
Mhm.
simpatico situation. But if you both come from kind of a similar situation financially, that can make
Mhm.
it easier. And then the
Yes.
wild cards are always, everybody handles money differently, and often in relationships, and it couldn't be a relationship killer where one person manages money, they spend all the time, and the other
Mhm.
person invests all the time, and
Right.
it can get to be a
Yeah.
sticking point at a certain area, because it's a real thing. We deal with money.
Mhm.
We make decisions about money. I'm going
Mhm.
to buy this, or I'm not going to buy it, or I'm going to buy
Right.
this, or I'm going to buy that. But we have to buy stuff, and money is an energetic exchange, but it's happening all the time, every day.
Yeah.
So if you're
Yeah.
not in the same place as your
Right.
partner, it's going to become obvious pretty quickly.
Right. Right. No, it will, and it can be a real issue. Interestingly enough, the issues tend to be more if the woman has more money than the guy. I've been dealing with that with friends, certainly very close friends, as well as just comments that we have from some regular viewers who are dating women, who have substantially more money, and they're successful men, but they're dating a woman with substantially more money, and what that brings into the psyche. So I don't know, that's more rare, I think. But I think the big misconception is that women, always are after money. That is absolutely not true. That is just not true. Yes, are there gold diggers out there? Yeah, of course. Are there men out there that want to nurse with a purse?
Mhm.
Those people are all out there. We get that. But money at this point in life is not a motivating factor for happiness. Certainly not. I mean, you need to pay your bills, yes, but beyond that, it's an end, or means to an end.
Mhm. Great response. A lot of insights there. How about the need for women? Of course, men have their needs in this area also, but the need to be heard,
Mhm.
where sometimes the dynamics of a relationship are like one person talks all the time about themselves and the other person is supportive. And over time, it can be stifling. And a lot of times, the one who's talking about themselves all the time doesn't even realize and they could have a heart of gold, but they don't realize that um, they're putting their partner in that type of situation.
Yeah.
Tell us
Yeah.
about the importance and the dynamics of women over 50 needing to be heard, and what they can do to make sure that happens. Because you don't want to get into, if you're over 50, you don't want to be stifled. It's like
No.
you want to let it all hang out at that point.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we can spend a whole segment on needing to be heard, or wanting to be heard, and that goes for both. That goes both ways, men and women. I think it's more pronounced in women sometimes, because men aren't, in general. Again, we're generalizing, aren't as good a listener, so they don't even want to talk. Women tend to express their emotions by talking. Talking is just a big part of what we do. And if the man shuts us off, then yeah, that becomes an issue. So when you have a guy who actively listens, I think is the word that's now being used, and just makes you feel like he's hearing what you're saying, engaging in conversation. I mean, it's so easy to do. You can almost fake it. I'm not saying to
Mhm.
fake it, but it literally is that easy. Just listen and just, well, okay, well, how, tell me more about that.
Yeah, exactly. Repeat what they're saying. So you're unhappy about that. So
Yeah.
that made you feel, yeah.
Yeah, the worst thing, and it's, I think probably everybody's heard it a million times, but when right away you get a fix, or, well, maybe you should do this, maybe you should, it's like, okay, I'm not asking you to fix anything, I just listen to me.
Mhm.
So just in general, over 50 or not, I think that is an issue, yeah, between men and women, that's probably never going to go away, because we're just wired, I think, anyway. This is Silke's opinion, and others I know believe it as well, but I think we're just wired that way. And it's more of an awareness that you can then, cater to or understand versus changing anything, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And the wiring could be culturally what's happened, how we've been raised. It's not like we're different beings per se. I think we've been pushed to be different, more different than men and women are culturally, how we're raised and what's happened over the decades and even centuries to bring us to where we are right now. And a lot of changes are going on very rapidly that are long overdue right now. And it's creating even more chaos, but more opportunities to really be a better listener. Now, as part of that, I told the story about paying attention, that my wife, before we were married, said, pay attention. That's the only thing. Yeah. How can men, I guess it's actively listening, how can they pay attention to make the woman know that he's actually paying attention? Like what we just talked about, you don't want the guy to be patronizing, like, yes, I understand, keep going. And then they really think they're looking at their phone, right? How can men really pay attention?
Well, I think, looking the woman in the eye. I mean, it's not brain surgery, it's how to pay attention to someone. You brought up a great example right now, when on the phone, like Paul, for example, he has a horrible habit of that, which is, it's because he needs to be on the phone a lot. He gets calls all day. He's in sales, and he needs to respond quickly. So it's a habit that I understand, but it also goes over in the personal life. So if you are someone that is tied to their phone, be aware that if that's not the situation, or even if you can put the phone aside for, just a few minutes, that right there, especially if the woman is used to you being on the phone, will tell or show that you're listening. And again, that goes for, men and women too. Women are on their phone, all the time as well. So it goes both ways.
Yeah, great point. And so we experience this every day. And a lot of times we're so entrained by the phone nowadays that we don't even realize that we're doing it, because our brains have learned to bifurcate to the point where I hear what you're saying and I'm checking out to see if if the Padres won last night. Yes. You can kind of do both, but it's not right. It's not showing the respect for your partner. Silke Schwarzkopf, my very special guest on Guys Radio. Silke is the host of that big hit on YouTube, Second Act TV, all about relationships and dating and everything for folks over 50. It's a runaway hit, and I love being a guest on the show. Next topic, one of our favorites that we cover is sex. Obviously, everybody has their own mechanism, their own journey sexually, and you have to be in sync with your partner. And it doesn't always happen immediately the first time that you're perfectly in sync. But from what you've heard, and you don't have to get into your personal experience, but from what you've heard about the experts, does the dynamic and importance of sexuality and sex change for women over 50? Because there is a misconception, I think, where some people think like, oh, women over 50, they've gone through menopause, they're not into it anymore. I would strongly disagree based on my own personal experience that not all of them are the same. Not all of them stay up like are little horn doggies like myself, but some of them are, regardless of age. And I think a lot of it is how you're individually wired. But is there some overarching truths that you can share with us that you've heard about, sex and how men need to know about women's sexuality changing as they age?
Well, so it's no secret that we all change. That stuff happens to our bodies with our hormones changing for men and women as we age, and that's something we need to be aware of. With men, it's ED. With women, it's vaginal atrophy, and those are. That can run havoc to any relationship or new relationship if you don't understand what's going on. So we spend a lot of time talking about that. I have some great videos on understanding vaginal health, understand how to deal with ED, etc. So that's one. Sexual dysfunction is one part of that equation. When you ask me about libido, that's this is it the $60,000 question, whatever question it that is hugely debated, where men, oh no, women lose their sex drive. And those are usually men that have been in a relationship for very long and they're not having sex, or their wife doesn't want to have sex anymore. Well, there's a lot of reasons she may not be having sex with you that they would not want to admit. That and as hard as it is to hear, maybe for some people, that same woman that's not having sex with you, she'd be hopping in bed with somebody else if the relationship went. And this happens all the time, where women over 50 are just re-energized by having gotten out of a relationship. And again, the same is true for men, I'm sure, that leave for younger women. So the whole losing interest and losing libido is largely tied to the amount of interest you have in the person that you're with, in my opinion.
I think that's a great response. I agree 100%. A lot of times guys have to, if their wife doesn't seem as, up for it as they are, maybe it's you, buddy. Have you asked yourself, am I romancing her? So what I want to ask about is the importance of romance for women over 50. I would think it's even more important for women are under a lot of pressure, particularly body pressures and things like that as they age. Their bodies change. Men's bodies change too, but I think it's a little more straight line with guys. They're going to get the belly or they're not, but the rest of them, maybe they lose their hair or whatever, and sometimes that can be sexy. Hey,
Absolutely.
But women are under pressure because their bodies change, and guys have to realize that they have competition from the young gals. Their bodies are changing, so they're not going to look the same way. And to me, it becomes all that more important for a woman to hear their guy tell them, you look great, not just in the bedroom if they're all dolled up or whatever, but just on a regular basis, that's important to hear, because it's an acknowledgement of, oh, he's not, he knows I'm changing, but he still finds me beautiful. That to me is huge and very important for a woman to hear.
Well, again, this is such a huge subject we could talk about forever, the whole body image of as you age and what men should or shouldn't say. Gosh, I've had experts on that I don't even agree with. It's just it's a very touchy topic, very touchy topic. I think on one sense, we all change. We all change, our bodies change, but I think with the pressure that you refer to, we put on ourselves, or we allow to have that put on ourselves from, externally, from what the media says and what you should look like. And, the whole thing with aging, that, young is better than old and that sort of thing. And there's a lot of people out there, including, us, that are working on changing that. Then, the competition from younger. Yeah, yes and no. I mean, the way I look at it, there's beautiful, older women who are fit, these are people who take care of themselves. That if you are unhappy with the way you look, and it's not something that you can't control, there's things we can't control, certain diseases, certain changes to our body. I mean, don't even want to get into the whole mastectomy, and there's so many. That definitely is a different subject that we actually will be covering very closely in upcoming episodes. But if it's something you can control, you don't have any competition. You know how many, and I do hate using the word attractive, but people who are out of shape, not at their best when they're young, that I don't know. I'm trying to actually take age out of it and just be the best you can be, and to where you can have confidence and present yourself with confidence, because that is the most attractive, I think, in anyone.
Would you agree that it's important, though, to that each person take it upon themselves to be the very best they can be? I don't mean, that you have to be, physique competitor, but at least you want to, do what you need to do to keep yourself. Listen, your body can change, particularly for women, but you can use the new shape that you have and sculpt it, quote unquote, into something that really works for you, and you can become super beautiful by doing that. It's like working with what you have and then making sure the guy appreciates the fact that I'm not the 20 year old version of me, but look at this version of me is actually better. I find sometimes if I see, and I look at the menu now and then, I'm guilty as charged. I notice other women. I'm in Southern California. It's like Lululemon on parade wherever I go. And and I think some of these women over 40, over 50 who are like really rocking, taking care of themselves. Wow, to me, that's sexier than a 22-year-old, because I know that they know what they're doing in a lot of different areas in life. And that to me is sexy.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I agree with you. And I think, being the best you can be is not necessarily just how your body looks, but how you feel. To me, the most important thing is you have to be healthy. I mean, let's face it, some of us care more about outward appearance than others. And ultimately, it really comes down to what is inside. But the outside does frame the way we feel about ourselves. So in that sense, be the best you can be, so you can feel good. So when you go out, you feel good, whatever that is to you. That's what I think needs to be accomplished.
Let's talk a little bit about when we get over 50, the whole retirement aspect, the work dynamic changes, and one person might retire. Or I have friends who are, and just hit 70 and they're still working. Throw the tie on, commute, and they're happy as clams. And I'm like, okay. And I have other friends who dropped it when they hit 60 and they're happy also, playing golf down in Florida, whatever. Everybody's different. I think it's important in a relationship to have, again, the money dynamic, but the perspective on what is retirement, and what do your retirement years look like individually and as a couple?
Huge, big topic, especially if you're starting over after 50. Because at that point you can control, if you will, or at least have more control about who, how you go forward and who you choose. When you're married, and all of a sudden one of you retires, or both of you, or whatever the situation is, it can change drastically, in the household, as it did in my marriage. All of a sudden he was home all the time, and it was horrible because he was controlling by nature anyway. And now, anyway, when I'm going to talk about my marriage, but the dynamic absolutely changes in retirement. And it's so important to be on the same page about what that looks like and what you want to do. To me, is staying active, whatever that looks like. If playing golf every day is going to make you happy, that is your path, do it.
Yeah.
For me, I mean, I'm going to do second act, until they put me in the ground. Well, I don't want to go on the ground. I want to be cremated, but but the
shows will live on. The shows will live on.
Well, with me, and I can't imagine ever not doing that, because it is my passion. And a lot of people have wonderful hobbies or talents or skills that they can now indulge in, given that, financially you can swing it with, obviously that's a big part. But yeah, retirement, I think probably the best advice is just don't you have to think about what it's going to look like and remain active, because there's statistics, especially for men, that after they retire within 2 years, they have a heart attack. I mean, I'm not quoting exactly, but look it up. There is your whole being, your whole image is associated with that, and that's something that would be difficult. Don't let that happen, because a woman can't change that either. Again, or vice versa. We have to be happy with ourselves in retirement, or it could be miserable.
As part of that, I would think that a discussion needs to take place, or at least an ongoing conversation about, not like where do you see yourself in the next 5 years, but, I think couples, whether they're new couples or long-term couples, need to share their perspectives on retirement. So one person's not saying, get a job, all right. That's the last thing anybody wants to hear from their partner.
Right.
Or they have like, I want to travel. And the other person is, well, we don't have enough money. And you get into those uncomfortable discussions. So I think it's incredibly important for people to have an ongoing conversation about what retirement means to them. How do they define the years coming up, and how they want to live them together. That's huge. And that's part of communication, where
Absolutely.
a lot of times in a relationship, and we touched on it earlier about paying attention, but sometimes guys don't want to talk about stuff unless a lot of times, in my opinion, guys are cool with everything. And if they're not, they're going to say something. And then they're going to wait for your response, and they're going to listen to it. And they might give you a little pushback. And then if they figure, well, that's what she thinks, I'm going to keep going. And that's a form of male communication sometimes, unfortunately, but that's kind of how we roll sometimes. How, as we age and women get over 50 and have older guys, how can women help open up the discussion so to get the male to be more communicative?
God, I don't have no idea.
And that's the question, folks.
The well, I mean, you raise a great point. I think what popped in my head when you asked me that question is that men often claim that they were blindsided
Right.
by things, especially if the woman is unhappy. You try to communicate, shuts her off, and then all of a sudden is, oh, I didn't see it coming. It's like, how could you not see it coming? How could you not see it coming? And then if you do examine what you did, maybe you couldn't. Maybe and again, I don't know what those answers are. These are as we talk about this to me is another awareness topic that I don't think we're ever going to change. We're never going to fix. We just have to be aware that this might be happening, or that, as you know, man, maybe I need to pay attention to this a little bit more. Maybe she was serious here, and women need to be more direct. And I'm pointing at myself here because I have a hard time doing that. It's almost like, well, he should know.
Exactly. Hey, I've been hit with that.
uh, well, no, maybe he shouldn't. Maybe he should. I don't know. But I'm guilty of a lot of the stuff that we talk about, and I admit that. I admit that freely. I'm not putting out advice and being that I don't take myself, even if I don't take it. I'll let you know, like I am right now.
Okay. My special guest on Guys Radio, the wonderful, dynamic, compelling, insightful Silke Schwarzkopf, creator, producer, and star of Second Act TV, the runaway YouTube channel hit. We're talking about what men need to know about women's perspectives over 50 so they can have successful relationships. So one dynamic that seems to be happening, particularly for folks over 50, is this idea of like sharing a bed, sharing a room, sharing a bedroom, sharing a bed, or sharing a home, even, where people are doing things individually. And maybe they get together when they want to get busy, but they may not have the same sleeping habits. They may not want to wake up facing their husband and his 3-day stubble every morning, and they want their own time. And or they don't even want to live in the same house because of logistics or whatever. What do you hear?
Well, well, this is a big movement now. I've done several videos on it. Matter of fact, one of the experts I've had on, Vicki Larson, just wrote another book about it. LAT, L-A-T, living apart together. It's a whole new thing where we realize that, it is tough to live with someone. And couples have actively chosen to be committed in committed relationships, but maintain separate residences. Paul and I actually did that for like 8 years. We've been living together now for the last 2, but that was great. That worked great. And I think it has kept us together all these years, to where we knew more what to expect when we moved in together. But yeah, that's a big thing. Again, you can just Google it. LAT can read all kinds of things about it, and to where they do it successfully. Now, I have to say it works better when you're starting out fresh. When you're meeting someone, you said, hey, I love you. I want to be with you the rest of my life. Let me keep my place here. And then we'll take turns or whatever, because you're building that relationship. There's couples that try it, almost like, it's more like a separation when you do it in a marriage. And all of a sudden, you know what? I need my own place. That's usually, in my opinion anyway, more of the beginning of the end than a creating a relationship that can work that way. But everybody has to judge that for themselves. I certainly don't hold the all the information on that.
Well, it's interesting because as a boomer guy, I was dating somebody who was close to my age, younger, but not just I don't know, 5 years younger or
Mhm.
so. And we were getting serious. And her perspective was like, live in different places or live, not sleep in the same room and this
Mhm.
and that. And at the time, I've changed
Mhm.
now. Um, I didn't like that because I think it was my upbringing. Like if you're
Mhm.
going to make the commitment to be together, then be
Mhm.
together. To me, if she's living there and I'm living here, maybe I'm not dating anybody else, but that means I'm dating. That doesn't, that means I'm not
Mhm.
living together.
Mhm.
So, talk to me about that, and also about the whole concept is, what have you heard is the importance or not of marriage for women who've been through life, and they're over 50 and they've maybe been in a marriage that didn't work, or they were a widow or whatever.
Mhm.
Is it important? Is it like, because everybody wants, I think most people would like to have the experience of like knowing what it's like to be married
I agree with you there that most people,
at
especially
some point.
women, yeah, at some point, not everybody by any means,
Right,
and
right.
that is really changing. That has really,
Hmm.
really changed the need to get married. I come from a very strong perspective on that because I was married twice. I was in a 25-year marriage and then a real quick one at the beginning for 6 months. Call it my practice marriage. I will not get married again. And Paul doesn't want to get married. He was married for 10 years and he has, 3 kids who we love. I mean, we've got a great situation, and marriage is absolutely not necessary. To me, the marriage, and this is maybe the key here, is that it's the perspective, just like what you described, is that to me, well, if we're not living together, we're not together, we're dating, to where to me is like marriage can ruin a relationship. And I'm just as wrong or right about that as you are with your perspective. And that's, so we each have to really think about what does marriage mean? What does it really mean to us? I mean, ultimately, it's just a legal document that can cause a lot of,
Pain.
well, I mean, there's some
Financial
protection,
pain.
but it's finance. Yeah, you're bringing the state, the government, into your relationship. Is that necessary? And yeah, to me it isn't. And there's a lot of women especially that feel that way right now too. There is that perception, oh yeah, they just want to get married, every woman's looking for a husband, and that is absolutely not true, especially with older women.
Hmm.
They,
Okay.
they were like kind of done. They want that committed relationship. They want the romance. They want all the good stuff, but not what, for them, again, the perspective, what marriage had meant to them.
Hmm. Okay. How about like starting out? If you see and meet or run into or are introduced to whatever, or even you're in Sprouts and you want to meet, you see a woman like looking at the cucumbers or something, and you get turned on, whatever it is. What's the best way for guys to approach women over 50?
In the cucumber aisle.
Or maybe it's in the watermelon aisle. I don't know.
Oh, that's so funny. I the best way to approach, again, that's the 65,000. I think that's what it was, $65,000 question. What for 64, whatever. It's so hard now for men because of all these new rules, and are you being harassed, etc. It's really tough for men right now. I mean, you just have to be. I think, and we've done videos on that as well, that it's really upon the women to help men approach, you know send some signals to where that this, it's okay, I wouldn't mind talking with, and that's so easy to do. It's just a simple smile, looking at the eye, maybe, hey, an acknowledgement, something uh, that somebody can react to, because approaching a woman in public right now, it is problematic. I get that. I get that. It's easier to give advice on that, like on dating sites, because everybody's there to date. You're not risking, maybe approaching someone who not only isn't interested but is not available. Well, they may not be available, but they're there to be approached, and to find someone. In that sense, I probably have better advice than in real life, or IRL as it's now called. I would say join groups that, like social groups, and to where there's a reason for conversation. One of the best ones right now, and I'm actually doing a video on that next week, is pickleball. There's now
Yeah.
pickleball dating. It's crazy. People are meeting, and like the public courts,
Yeah.
they're turning into like that's the new bar scene. And I'm interviewing the founder of pickleball dating over 50. Believe
That's
it or
awesome.
not, there's
I
a
love it.
site that caters just to that. And here you're put in a situation where you have to talk. You have to talk, and you get to know each other in so many things that you ultimately wouldn't. Competitive you are, how supportive you are, how how you see yourself, can you laugh at yourself? There's so many ways an activity such as that can help form a relationship
Mhm.
versus the cucumber aisle.
Which can
I
work
wouldn't
also.
I wouldn't almost I know people disagree with me there. I mean, sometimes you have a good reason to approach in like in a grocery store or so. As a matter of fact, one of my best friends, they got married. They're now married. They met at Costco. She said, we didn't meet online. We met in line.
Yeah, I can, you know
Yeah,
what?
they were waiting, and the register tape was running out. And anyway, so it caused a delay. And 10 years later, here they are. But those are more rare, I think.
Mhm.
Maybe the advice there is don't close yourself off to something that might just be open, look at people,
Mhm.
smile,
Mhm.
and then it makes a lot easier for someone to approach you.
It's interesting, and I was thinking about this because I can be as clueless as the next guy. I was online at Costco the other day in
Hmm.
the return line. I had a broken crate, one of these big
Hmm.
plastic crates that they sell, and this woman in front of me had the whole workout outfit on and
Hmm.
attractive, and she turned around, she's talking to me, and I figured,
Hmm.
okay, broken crate, and she's telling me about her broken crate that she's had and blah blah blah. I figured, okay, and like I think we covered the broken crate. I'm thinking like,
Yeah.
okay, no, they kept talking and talking and talking, and finally she was ahead of me, so she had to go off. So I'm like,
Hmm.
did I miss something there? So
Yeah.
anyhow, I return my crate. I'm in the store and I see her kind of in my area, and then I'm in another
Hmm.
area and the same thing. And then finally, I meet up with my wife and son, and she kind of veers by and passes by, and I'm like, was that woman interested in me, or am
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
completely clueless?
Yeah.
And the question is, how can women approach guys then? If guys need signals, which I obviously wasn't reading, and I'm
Hmm.
not in the market anyhow, how what's a good way for a woman? I mean, I didn't have my ring on, and I was there by myself returning a crate, and maybe she thought, hey, he looks all right,
Hmm.
and he's halfway articulate. Maybe he's in
I
the
think
game. I don't know.
that's really a great example. I've had some similar experiences, to where it's like, I think that he was trying to start a conversation. We don't think about it now because we're not looking for that. But yeah, that's the way to do it. Like what happened with me was I was in the cheese aisle, in somebody that started a conversation. Oh, now do you get that? No, do you do this with that? And how about and kept talking to me about this shredded cheese. And then it kind of hit me afterwards was he didn't want to talk about shredded cheese. Yeah. So, but that's a great way, if you're comfortable doing that, there certainly is, what can you talk about with, in the situation that you're
Right.
in right now?
That's organic, right?
That's organic.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Because
Yeah.
the worst case scenario, it's a conversation. You can
Right.
be comfortable just to have like I responded to this person and I was like, okay, yeah, broken crates, I get it. And
Yeah.
Costco's great about taking returns. Okay, but
Yeah.
I didn't read the tea leaves on that.
Right.
Maybe, or maybe I'm
Right.
just being like ego, like, oh, she was interested in me and it was completely random. I have no idea, but
Hmm.
I'm a
Hmm.
guy, so we don't with the
Yeah.
signals. You have to really clonk us on the head with a cucumber or whatever to let us know that you're interested. So I was just curious as to like how do women deal with that, because women are so perceptive and so on it, and a lot of times guys are in their walking around in their own world.
Yeah, I think women can be kind of walking in their own world too. I agree with
Can
you
they
that.
say can they say hi, I'm Alice?
No, well, I mean, if they want to be that direct, like I wouldn't do that. I can tell you, I could strike up a conversation and to where, hi, I'm Silke would be much later. That to me would be, I would be uncomfortable doing that. And I could start a conversation with anybody, but to introduce myself, probably not. That can be kind of, I don't know if that makes sense or not, but
Makes
yeah,
perfect sense. Yeah, I think you're completely right there. So taking that a little bit further, the topic of kind of introductions and all that. First date, where the women over 50, do they feel like, okay, he's not picking up my signals, I'm just going to ask him out. I'll have him come over for dinner, or we'll go out together, and I'll be the quote unquote aggressor or first mover. What's their perspective on that? It's like, otherwise, if I wait around for this guy, I may be waiting until I'm Mick Jagger's age.
Yeah. Well, he's looking pretty good. So
I know,
who
he's
knows?
doing
Yeah.
great.
No, absolutely. Ask him out. If that's what you want, you're comfortable with it, and then you're opening yourself to the same quote unquote rejection, that men have had all their lives. I didn't mean to come off negative there. I'm saying, yeah, absolutely. If it's somebody you want to go out with, you've already met them, he's not, getting it or not moving forward, and you're wondering why. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, you know what? I'd love to have you over for dinner. I'd like to take this. Maybe we can talk about this, over a drink or something. Or pickleball. But
shred some cheese, right?
Yeah, shred some cheese. But no, there's nothing wrong with the woman making the first move and asking a man out. I think after that, there's, that's a whole other conversation too, is, allow the man to be the aggressor and be in his male energy versus, staying there and being the dominant force in the relationship. But like I said, that's a whole other conversation.
I have found when we're talking about the next step after that, let's say the date goes good. I found with the older women, and I don't mean old, but just older, more mature, savvy, when it comes to like making the next step happen, they're pretty much boom, right out there. There's no like, they just let it's pretty obvious. It's like, let's go.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I would say that's true. One of the mistakes that I made in the beginning, I was too much like that. I mean, I did approach first online, either sent a wink or something. I mean, I was very proactive, and I think that worked. I had lots of dates, and for the most part, had what was fun. And then when we hit it off, I would maintain that, and that didn't work real well. I literally ran some guys off. Looking back at it now, it's kind of funny, really. Okay. So there again, it's sad when you're starting over again. You really don't know. People say that wisdom comes with age. Yeah, in some things, yes. But I think when it comes to matters of the heart, you're kind of stuck where you left off in, if for me, really the high school and college years.
Amazing. So I think that's actually a perfect place for us to leave off because we're running out of time. Another fast, fruitful, frothy conversation with the guy's guy and Silke of Second Act TV. So thank you so much for being back on the show. I think there's a lot of really insightful comments there, things that everybody can learn. The women can agree or disagree with. The guys can say, you know what, I never thought of that. So thank you for helping out. Thank you for being back on the show. Thank you for having me on the show, and all the best. I'll see you soon.
Absolutely, Robert, and thank you for all your support. Appreciate it. And yeah, we'll see you again soon on Second Act TV.
There you go.
If you enjoy the guests and content I bring you each and every week to Guys TV and Guys Radio, please support us by subscribing to our channels and platforms. Thank you.